All right, class, welcome back. So my last video, I finished recording and then looked at it and then realized that it had cut off. So I've rewound to exactly the point where it cut off, and we will finish the problem out. So we were talking about how to graph after we've plugged in the different solutions. So like 0 here, -2 here from this region, and 5 here from this region. And we got false, true, true. So the 0 was the false region, and so on. So to right where we left off, we had decided that we're going to include the value of -1 because of this sign right here has the equal to statement. But when we got to this 4, the way that we decided that this would be a parenthesis is that that value cannot be included. So values that you find from step 1 here have to have a parenthesis. They cannot have a bracket because they can't be included. So this is going to go from 4, not including 4, all the way to infinity. So the actual setup here then would be parenthesis -infinity to a -1. We're going to include that value of -1 union with 4, not including it though, because if we included it, it would make the denominator 0 all the way to infinity. And that is the end of this problem. And then I had one other problem that I had gone through, so we'll go through that one again. And this will just be a continuation of 8.4, solving rational inequalities. This next problem is going to look a little more involved. We're going to have y squared plus 15 is going to be equal to 8y. Less than y squared plus 15 over 8y is going to be less than or equal to 1. So again, my first step is to see what would make the denominator 0, because we can't have a 0 in the denominator. So I'm going to say, hey, the only thing that would work here is if I put 0, because 0 times anything is 0. So y cannot be 0. All right, now I'm going to solve this inequality as if it says it's equal to. I'm going to do that by multiplying both sides by 8y. When I do that, these 8y's cancel, and I will just have y squared plus 15. And again, I'm just going to treat it like it's equal to, because when we use our test points, we plug them back into the original, so it doesn't matter what this sign is. I want to subtract 8y from both sides. We get y squared minus 8y plus 15 is equal to 0. The reason why we want to put it in this format, we want to get everything equal to 0 because this is quadratic. So once we get it here, then we want to look and say, what are the factors of 15? Well, this is going to be another hippobutts. So factors of 15 are going to be -5 and -3. When I multiply -5 times -3, I get this positive 15. And when I add -5 plus a -3, I get this -8. So again, what we're looking for here is what would solve, we're looking for the solutions to this inequality. If I plugged in 5 right here, and I plugged in 3 right here, then these factors would each respectively be 0. So 5 minus 5 would make this factor 0, which would make the whole thing 0. And 3 minus 3 would make this factor 0, which would make the whole thing 0. So those are my other critical points. So y is equal to 3 and 5. So now that we have all of the critical points, we're going to label our critical points on the number line, divide into regions. So we've got 1, 0, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so here we go. Here's our critical points. And again, we're just going to label or separate each region here on our number line. All right, so now I need to test a point from each one of these regions. There are 4 of them. I bumped the table. I just want to make sure that all right, that's better. That we are plugging in points. So I'm going to use the point -1, the point 1, the point 4, and the point 6. So when I go ahead and plug those in, I'm going to get -1 squared right here, plus 15 all over 8 times negative 1. That's going to give me 1 squared. Negative 1 squared is 1 plus 15 is 16 over negative 8. That is going to be a negative 2. Negative 2 is less than or equal to 1. This is a true statement. So we know that negative 1 is true. So values in this region are part of the solution. We're going to plug in 1 now. And we're going to get almost the same thing. 16 divided by 8. And we get the 2 is less than or equal to 1. Well, 2 is greater than 1. So this is false. And we're going to say, no, stuff in here in this region is false. I'm going to plug in 4. And we will get 16 plus 15, which is 31 over 32. Is this less than or equal to 1? Well, it is less than, because 32 over 32 would be equal to 1. So this is true. So values in this region from here to here are a solution. Now, just to finish this off, we're going to do the 6. And we get 36 plus 15 is 51 over a 48. That is greater than 1 because we have an improper fraction here. So this is false. And we can see then that stuff in that region is false. So our solution here is going to be comprised of negative infinity to 0. The question is 0 a parenthesis or a bracket? In this case, it's going to be a parenthesis, because even though this has an equal to, because it cannot be included, the value of 0 can't be included because it came from step 1. So we got to make sure, well, 0 is not included. But the values 3 and 5, which came from step 2 when I actually solved this, satisfy the equal to part of this statement here. So I will have brackets here because this is an equal to statement. So what is the final answer here? We're going to get that we are going to go from negative infinity to 0, but not include 0, union with 3 to 5, including 3 and including 5. So this is our solution, and that's the end of this video. Thanks for your patience. I apologize for that cutting off. Thanks.